Here's the basic principle of the disc. It is turning out kind of cool, but ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today is the fourth installment of making the most ridiculous disc golf bag that we can think of. And as you can see, we have two absolute gems in our hands today. We have a DX Thunderbird and we have an Infinite Discs Uplay something. I'm not entirely sure what these even are, but we are gonna take these two discs and combine them into one. So you might be sitting there and thinking, Hunter, how on earth are you going to do that? Well, let me explain, guys, and I really do hope that this plan comes together, but we have our two discs here. Now, the Thunderbird, we are gonna leave it as it is, and we are going to cut 4 holes around the outside of the disc. And for the Uplay, we are going to cut out the entire middle of the disc. The plan is to cut the same exact holes in both of the discs. Now, I am gonna take the flight plate of the Uplay, I'm going to attach it to the Thunderbird, but the key is that there is enough space of solid disc in between each cutout. So we should be able to rotate the Uplay flight plate underneath the Thunderbird to allow and open different sized air holes. Now, we all saw the shark fin T-Bird, and the interesting part is that it actually worked, minus the fact that it fell apart rather quickly, but the biggest problem with the shark fin T-Bird was time. Now, if my plan comes together accordingly, this should be a pretty quick switch from stable to understable. And yes, DX Thunderbird is not the most stable thing to start with, but I think when we add quite a bit of extra weight to it, it should help us out. So up first, we need to get our spare parts flight plate out of the classic Uplay disc. Now listen, one of my first videos I did film here, and I was drilling on this bench here, and everyone thought, oh, you're drilling through the bench. Guys, let me tell you something. Rat's Nest is not that sophisticated, you know what I mean? There are gaps in this bench that I can put my entire hand through. All right, so we are all set, and hopefully this should just flop right in here. Hopefully this should just flop right in here. Well, okay, I'm guessing the rim of this is narrower, so the flight plate itself is also narrower. All right, so we're off to a rough start. Maybe we're gonna have to do some trimming. All right, now hopefully it should just flop right in there. Like a glove. That's almost too snug. I will have to trim this a little more, and I don't think I can get it out. This was not part of the plan. But now we need to distinguish where we are going to add our 4 holes. All right, so our disc is about 26 inches in circumference. So I am gonna make a mark here at 13, and half of 13 is 6.5. So that's where we're gonna get our cross to make sure everything is center. Now, unfortunately, I didn't bring a straight edge. That's kind of needed. We'll just use the old ruler here. Now that we have our disc perfectly marked out, we have to add our circles that we are going to cut out of both flight plates. And what I'm going to use for that is this measuring cup that I cut the handle off. It's an 1/8 cup, and I'm going to center it on each line. As I mark this out, I'm slightly worried that our circle of choice is slightly too big, and I don't know if it will get fully covered up, if there's enough space in between each cutout that is the width of the cutout or greater. So I did leave a gap in between this and the flight plate. I think I'm going to have to slide this all the way up. It should give us that extra little distance, and I think we might be able to pull this off. Now that we have our 4 very roughly marked out circles in the Thunderbird, we're gonna cut them out real quick. Number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. So now we have to take our spare parts. We need to cut out the same exact circles in them, and this might not work. The circle might be a little too big, but we're gonna give it a shot. You guys know what time it is, and it's giveaway time, the Area 51. And remember, to the winner, once you get it, get some throws under it, send me a little message and let me know which shot shapes you think this disc suits best for. Now, you guys kind of lucked out. The last video didn't get a ton of comments, so the wheel is not so intimidating this time, so good luck. Congratulations to J424D. All you have to do is find the Tossing Plastic page on Facebook, shoot me a message, and we'll get the shipping taken care of. Now guys, if you want a chance to win an awesome freebie to test out on the field, just make sure you're subscribed, check out the videos I post. I do as many giveaways as I can. Thank you. Well, obviously these are not complete circles, so something did go a little wrong here. Honestly, I think we just needed a smaller cylinder. I really kind of thought this would work. Apparently it was too big, but here's the basic principle of the disc. It is turning out kind of cool, but now we just need to bring them together. Got this little nut and bolt here. And bam! Well, here is our final product. We officially have the modified Thunderbird. Now, could it have been done better? Yes, but I am very happy with how this turned out. You just want to keep the bolt hand tight. Oh, if you're just lining up for that normal drive, you need your stability, keep the vents closed. You know what I mean? We have all the extra weight of a second flight plate plus a giant bolt in the middle of the disc. But if you find yourself in a tricky situation where you need that understability, nothing, just a little hand crank and we're there. You know, the shark fin took too long. You had to distract your other card mates. You had to distract the TD too much. This is just wham bam, slide and go. Now there were two crucial details that we made sure that we followed through with if you want to pull this off. And the two discs that you use have to be the same color. And as you can see, we did that, okay? They're both Rello. They just slide right in, and you might be thinking, Hunter, what about the shiny bolt on top? I've already thought about it, guys. It's tricky, but you need some color matching paint. We're just gonna dab it around the bolt. It should blend right in. And bam, perfect. You can't you can't even see it anymore. So if anyone tells you that they noticed something, they're wrong, okay? This is perfectly blended in. Now let's go throw this thing. So here we are. After a lot of hard work, we have made it to the T-pad. You guys know the test hole. 330 feet dead straight. It does go uphill at the end of the fairway, and we're gonna throw this puppy in the locked position, vents closed. It's heavy. I will say this thing is like genuinely heavy. So I think unlike just a standard DX non-modified Thunderbird, you can't throw it all that hard, but this sucker, I think we can throw it pretty good. So I'm just gonna go flat, probably 75% power. We'll see what happens. Oh my gosh. It kind of hurts the arm. Like, that's a brick. That is like throwing a brick. We're gonna try that back. It just slipped out of my hands. I was not expecting the weight, how that would feel pulling through. And we're back. Guys, if you make a modified disc like this, warm your arm up. You know what I'm saying? That is a brutal first throw of the day. This thing is heavy, felt weird, hurt a little bit, but we're trying again. You know, we are definitely trying again. I'm actually gonna try to throw it a little harder, actually hit the right side of the fairway so you guys can see it. It did not hyzer. It wasn't super overstable. It was more just straight, but it's just heavy and it moves slow. So let's see how it goes this time. Yeah, thing dead straight and a pretty strong left finish. Like, I mean, it's like the slowest. I think that's flying slower than my Rhino, but you know, it got about 230 and then it just dumped off to the left. That's a success. That's stability. That's what we were looking for. We ended up getting about 270, which is not bad at all. We had that dead straight flight with that very strong left dump at the end. It was only like a 10 feet. It did all of its crashing to the left. But now we are gonna flip our vents open and see how it flies differently. If you guys are enjoying the Mad Scientist videos, the disc reviews, or the course reviews, please take a second and hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications. It's completely free. It takes 3 seconds of your time. It helps the channel grow, and I would greatly appreciate it. It flew exactly the same. So, well, it was shorter. So I think cutting holes in the flight plate does not add understability. I think just when we were shedding the weight, it added understability. But because the weight of that thing never changed, all adding the holes did, I think, is take the glide away. That's very interesting. I never would have guessed that. I really thought cutting holes in the rim added some understability to the flight. But that was definitely more stable. Well, not necessarily more stable, but it had a fraction of the glide. That disc went nowhere. Maybe half the distance, maybe. And we might as well give the old ghost disc the one and done. I have no expectations on this throw. I'm gonna try to keep it really soft, really flat. If it can just go straight, I'd be pretty impressed with myself. Oh, that was weird. It's actually really stable. It like immediately just kind of hyzered down. Weird. This is why we experiment. Nothing is going the way that I expected it to. And that wraps up episode 4 of creating the most ridiculous disc golf bag that we can think of. And honestly, guys, I know I usually do a lot more test throws, but this thing isn't gonna change much in flight, and honestly, it kind of hurts to throw. I'm just like, I'm throwing it out there. This is way too much weight to be trying to throw around. And we gotta go back to the drawing board. The conclusions that we gathered today were not what I expected at all. I think the concept was an absolutely great idea, but the biggest factor that we are learning about simply is weight and what we can do to manipulate the weight. Now, yes, I could unscrew our little nut and bolt here, pop it off, and then throw the disc that way, but we got to get more creative than that. You know what I mean? That's too basic. We are on episode 4. So at this point, we're basically got a degree in this stuff. On paper, 10 out of 10. This is definitely the coolest one that I've made so far, but honestly, the shark fin had better results, and I don't necessarily understand why, because we weren't shedding weight on that disc either. I just think maybe when you hit a certain weight, because this is so heavy, you're just not gonna notice the flight characteristics. I really don't know. I just don't know. I'm learning as much as you guys are here, but at the end of the day, I am very happy with this. You guys definitely could make yourself a modified disc. If you follow exactly to the T the technique that I showed you, you'll get away with it. Nobody will notice a thing. It's time for me to go back to the drawing board and try to think of a clever disc for the next episode. And I do worry that as the series continues to go, they're gonna get crazier, more time consuming, more in depth. But honestly, guys, I love doing this. It's a lot of fun and I don't mind it at all. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Now it's your turn to go toss some plastic.